The confusion surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2 continues to hit ridiculous levels. It is out of control right now, to the point where no one truly understands what exactly Nintendo is trying to accomplish here. And whether you're on the side of Nintendo can do no wrong and Nintendo is perfect, or if you're on the side that Nintendo is the worst company in the world and they're super anti-consumer, I think that anyone with a working brain and the slightest bit of common sense needs to acknowledge one thing and one thing only, that the sole responsibility of all of this is on Nintendo. They are responsible for this. Now, maybe you agree with the confusion, maybe you agree with it, but it's their fault. They have created all of this because of their lack of transparency. And even though there's been reporters and mainstream outlets that have spread misinformation, something that they claim that they're against, even though I can't stand these mainstream outlets and I think they're all garbage, I still can't put the blame on them when Nintendo is the reason all of this is happening. And I've even seen clips from like RGT85 right here. RGT85 said this in his video.
Imagine the mom at Walmart. Imagine the dad at Walmart. And that poor Walmart employee trying to, or at GameStop. Imagine working at GameStop right now, where some mom comes in with like her 3 snotty kids, and they're all, blah, 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 and this GameStop employee has to explain to the mom all of these different things with this system. Now, whose fault is this? I mean, it has to be Nintendo's fault, right?
Yes,
they're the ones who decided to do all these different things. Switch 1 standard games that will play on the Switch 2, no enhancements. Switch 1 games that will have a slight enhancement on the Nintendo Switch 2 for free. Switch 1 games that have Switch 2 editions on the Nintendo Switch. However, there are 2 different types of Switch 2 editions. There are Switch 2 editions that have just graphical content. I don't know how that makes it much different than the free versions of the upgrades, but I guess it's a substantial boost or something like that. And then ones that have story content, both of which are at different price points, but some of them are going to be included in Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack. We don't know the price point of them, but if you were to buy the physical edition of the Switch 2 edition, you have a code inside to get that Switch 2 additional content, meaning you have to connect to the internet and then Switch 2 versions of the game. That's not normal. That is not normal. And then that's not even factoring in the digital download card games that don't have anything on the cartridge whatsoever, and you just connect to the internet and download it. So yes, this has been very confusing, and I'm hopeful that this video will help people and maybe guide them a little bit with this, because even I need a little bit of guidance here with this. This is not normal. This is not a normal system. And you can say, oh, you know, it's a new era, it's a new generation, blah, 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 and that's fine. But all because something is new doesn't necessarily mean that it was changed for the better. Sometimes.
And this is a very good video from RGT85. I suggest that you go check that out. The Nintendo Switch 2 confusion is out of control. Yang Ya has a video. Nintendo Switch Backlash worsens due to more hidden costs and online requirements for physical media. He's not wrong in what he's saying right there. Now, one of the better videos in this is from Nintendo Prime. Nintendo Switch 2 misinformation is getting out of hand. I watched this video, and he did a really good job of breaking a lot of this down. I would recommend going and checking this one out. I even messaged him yesterday and told him, hey, man, that was a really good video breaking down the whole situation. Nintendo Prime also dropped this tweet. Hey, all you journalists and YouTubers that ran the story without sending a free email to confirm about the Switch 2 edition games not having the extra content on the cartridge. You all got duped. I sent a single email and got confirmed. Full game on Kart, including extras. This is an email from the Nintendo Store team. Thank you for contacting my Nintendo Store regarding your query. If you purchase a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the game on physical format, you will receive 1 cartridge with the upgrade already in use. However, if you already had the game for Nintendo Switch 1 and were only able and you were to purchase the expansion update, you would receive a digital download code regardless if you have it on digital or the physical format. If you have any further queries, do not hesitate to contact us. We shouldn't have to be asking all of these questions around this damn system. Their lack of wanting to be transparent has led to all of this. And the longer that they are not going to address it, the worse it gets. Why can you react to an email from Nintendo Prime, which again, I like Nintendo Prime. I watch his stuff a lot. He's he's got a great channel. And I really do. Go check his video out on that. But why can't you just address these things? No one seems to understand what's going on. And you have 10,000 different perspectives on pricing. At first was the Mario Kart story. Mario Kart World, $90 physical price. That story was out there. Why was that story out there? Because Nintendo did not address it. They should have addressed it during the Direct. But instead, they wanted to be shady about it, and they wanted to be cute about it and not announce and go, oh, for prices, go to our website. So people picked up on, the Euro prices, and then there was a narrative that Mario Kart World was $90 physical, $80 digital. That created a mass firestorm for people saying Nintendo is trying to move away from physical media. The truth is that Mario Kart World is $80.
What the fuck?
Now, Nintendo, why is it $80? Can you explain that to people? As I've said many times, I'm going to stream Mario Kart World. I'm going to put over 1,000 hours into Mario Kart World. On a personal level, I have no problem with me personally having to spend that much money to get that much out of a product. But people are pissed and they want answers. Nintendo should be answering them. Nintendo is solely responsible for all of this. No one else is to blame. They could put this fire out immediately if they wanted to. So now people are curious as to what's the justification for Mario Kart World being $80? It's a fair question. I have no problem with people being frustrated about that. The other piece of news that we got today was this right here. Nintendo has confirmed that the Switch 2 Welcome Tour will cost $9.99. Almost said $99.99, which wouldn't be surprising from Nintendo. I said this garbage isn't worth $1. It should be included with the system purchase. End of discussion. I mean, I said it here. This is far worse than Mario Kart World, in my opinion. It's a tech demo to advertise the Switch 2, which costs $450. And they are asking people to pay more money for it. It's not worth $1. It should be included with the system purchase. Absolutely insane. Nintendo did address the nonsensical rumors that Donald Trump's tariffs are the reason that the Switch 2 is $450. Nintendo finally addresses something and says Nintendo says U.S. tariffs weren't factored into the $450 price tag for the Switch 2. The tariff news is fresh, and like many companies right now, we are actively assessing what the impact may be. And as I tweeted here, I was told by very reliable gender-confused freaks that Trump was responsible for the Switch 2 price. It's almost like you guys don't know what you're talking about. Nintendo Switch 2's game pricing is as confusing as it is controversial. Nintendo's upcoming console, the Nintendo Switch 2, will have an assortment of over 20 games available at launch, including some first-party exclusives and popular third-party titles. This is not only double the number of titles that the Switch released with, it's also one of the most stacked launch lineups in Nintendo hardware history. Normally, you would think that the reaction of the Switch 2's catalog of games would be incredibly positive, especially considering Nintendo's esteemed reputation on the console pace. However, the reception from fans has been anything but. That is not entirely true. The Direct was very positively received. I thought the Direct was a grand slam. And then everything fell apart after the pricing was released. And again, I do think that a lot of this is the shady way that Nintendo went about it. They should not have hid it. They should have been transparent with it, just like they were with the original Switch Direct. You should have been transparent. But instead, you wanted to be shady about it, and now you're being arrogant about it by not addressing it. This is ridiculous, man. Despite running on what is effectively last-gen hardware, Nintendo has confirmed that some of the launch titles in the Switch 2 are going to be a lot more expensive than initially anticipated. The upcoming World Kart Racer, Mario Kart World, is going to cost an eye-watering $80 in the United States, making it more costly than any other modern AAA game on the market. Meanwhile, third-party titles such as 2020 sci-fi first-person RPG Cyberpunk 2077 will be adopting a $70 price tag, similar to most big-budget releases on the PS5 and Xbox Series S, X, and S. The prices for many of these early Switch 2 titles have caused a lot of fan backlash, not only because of the bad precedent that it may set for future game releases, but also because they're just downright confusing. This pricing for the Nintendo Switch games is all over the place. Mario Kart World is perhaps the perfect example of how odd the pricing strategy is for many Nintendo Switch 2 games. Although Mario Kart World's physical and digital copies will cost the same amount of money in the US, they will have different prices in select regions. Spain, for instance, the digital version will set players back $80, which is the equivalent of about $90. However, a physical copy of Mario Kart World will cost $90 or approximately $100 USD. Nintendo has almost never changed separate prices for digital and physical versions, so this decision seems like it'll cause a lot of headaches for consumers in the long run. Judging by Mario Kart World's pricing, some may assume that Nintendo's first-party exclusives will cost $80 from now on, but that isn't the case. The upcoming 3D action platformer Donkey Kong Bonanza, which will be released 1 month after the Switch 2 comes out, and it's going to cost $70. Despite it also being a AAA Nintendo-published title, weirdly enough, some older Nintendo Switch games that are getting enhanced re-releases for the Switch 2, known as Switch 2 editions, cost even more than the all-new Donkey Kong Bonanza. This is crazy. Nintendo announced that the upgraded Switch 2 editions of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Party Jamboree, and Kirby the Forgotten Land will be priced at $80, just like the new Mario Kart World. Nintendo Switch 2 edition of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, however, it's only $70. This is still quite expensive for what is effectively a remaster of a Wii U game, but it's a bit unexpected that it's cheaper compared to others. As if the situation wasn't confusing enough, there are several Nintendo published games that will receive Switch 2 patches with improved performance and resolution, but not Switch 2 editions. Since these patches will be free to all Switch 2 owners, they make the $70 and $80 price tag for Switch 2 editions look rather excessive. Granted, some Switch 2 editions, like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, are going to be included with no extra cost to active Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack subscribers, but the fact that they cost so much money is still weird, especially considering they contain almost no new features compared to the games that they are getting free patches. What? This is insane. And this is where we are right now. Nintendo, you pulled, and I can't take credit for this one, so I don't know who said it first, but you pulled an Atlanta Falcons. You had a 28-3 lead in the third quarter of the Super Bowl. That direct that you gave us was a great direct. And everything was awesome in terms of the presentation. Mario Kart World looks to be a grand slam. Everything looked awesome. All of the announcements. You have a FromSoft exclusive. You have a Donkey Kong game coming out. The system looks great. And you screwed everything up with the pricing. And now people are confused. People don't know which way to turn. You've got Nintendo YouTubers emailing your support to get answers because you don't want to give us the answers. This is a disaster. I don't know how this is going to affect the Nintendo Switch 2 sales. I really don't. I tend to think that it's still going to sell extremely well, but they need to get the messaging down. Now, we have a Mario Kart World Direct coming up on April 17th. What are they going to tell us at that Direct? Are they going to tell us that the $80 price tag means that all the DLC for the game over the next 3 to 5 years is going to be included with... stupid ad. Are they going to tell us that all of the DLC is going to be included with all of the purchase, the $80 purchase? We don't know. Are they going to tell us that there's a story mode in Mario Kart World that's going to be part of that? How are you going to justify the $80? People want answers. People deserve answers. They are frustrated, and they're not going to let up. So we're going to have to see how this all plays out. But I am just astonished at how bad this is. And the sole responsibility is on Nintendo. And this is one reason why I really like Nintendo Prime's video, because multiple times, even though he's pointing out a bunch of YouTubers that put a lot of the information out there that wasn't correct, he kept going back to the fact that Nintendo's responsible for this. Nintendo. They are responsible. And they are responsible. And if somebody is trying to tell you that Nintendo is not responsible for this, they immediately should not be listened to. Nintendo is responsible. Now, you can go through other problems that have happened and journalists and all of this, and that's totally fine, but you have to establish that Nintendo is responsible for this mess, and it's their responsibility to clean it up. It's nobody else's responsibility. It's Nintendo's. You guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for checking out this video, and we will talk to you later.